Hello everybody and welcome to Project X. And today I'm just sitting here thinking about things I should have known and could have known and would have done better with if I had known getting into a car project. And I decided to break this into two parts, so this is part two of what I was discussing. When you're having a build, going back to the goals, what is your goal? If you know your goal, then you can build in stages. I'm going to put an air filter in it while I drive it daily, building in stages. I've made the mistake so many times of getting cars that, first of all, I got clouded with my judgment because of my goal and ended up building something not in stages. Because what happens is maybe you just want to do something less complicated. And then what happens is you take the car to a shop, it gets complicated, and now you're on the bus. Or now you're using your wife's car, which becomes very complicated. Yeah, so now you're on the bus because now your car's in the shop. You didn't realize it's going to take that long to put a cam in it. You didn't realize that it's going to take that long to remap the ECU or something. So now you've got a big problem because now you don't have a daily. But if you're dailying your car and you have realistic goals, it shouldn't be a problem, right? And another point is do not over engineer. If you do your research, you have realistic goals for your car. You're not going to daily 1,000 horsepower car that takes 2 miles a gallon with these gas prices. 2 miles of premium a gallon. Maybe you can afford it. I don't know. People to each their own. But that's not what people are thinking. Everybody's thinking about horsepower and so forth and so forth. If you know what your goal is, okay, and how are you going to do that, and are you going to daily it, and also how is it going to affect the insurance, right? And realistically, are you going to be able to drive that car on the road? Are you going to be able to drive it for long distances? Maybe it's just a grocery getter, but are you going to be able to drive it for long distances? Because each car has its own goals, right? And as I said, to different stages. You know, you got a normal Viper, then maybe you supercharge it. Now you may be having head gasket issues, overheating issues, that sort of thing. And now it does it need meth injection? Now so it gets really complicated easy, and then before you know it, you can't kind of daily drive it. Oh, and it's got full fuel starvation. Now it needs two fuel pumps, and then now it's doing 2 miles a gallon. Now the car's just a headache, and then maybe you now want to get rid of it as quickly as possible. But it started off with you not really realistically assessing your goals, which I've done in a lot of instances where your passion and the deal come in the way, and it just rolls into something that gets out of hand, right? So you really have to be realistic about what you're trying to do. And you really have to define your goal. Know yourself and your surroundings. Where you are really affects your project, right? As I said, if it's a non-runner, is it going to be stored inside, outside? Is it movable under its own power, or does it have to be pushed, or does it need a forklift? And then also where you are, right? You want to be enjoying your car. I live in a snow area, so half the year it's cold or freezing, so you need heating. And when summer's here, it's really hot, so you need air conditioning. Will your project car have air conditioning or heating at least? That's one thing. And if you don't have heating or air conditioning, you have problems. Like driving in winter here, if you don't have a fan, the whole windshield freezes. You can't see anything outside. It's happened to me a couple of times, so with these projects where you can't actually, you kind of have to scrape the ice from the windshield from the inside. Safety. That's not good at all because the heating system, something happened. Yeah, and one thing I also wanted to say is you always need a daily driver. You always need an alternative car when you're having a project car. Unless you're doing cosmetic stuff like new headlights or little things, putting a new radio, cosmetic stuff, fine. When you start going into really complicated stuff, even a thing like a hood, you take off the hood, you buy an aftermarket hood, it doesn't fit or it doesn't close. and you've got to go to work. Suddenly everything is got very complicated, right? You buy a body kit, you take parts off, the parts they sent don't fit, and you're late for work. So that's a problem. You're late for school, you're late for work, or you can't basically use the car. That's a problem, right? So all these things, these factors play in to you having a project car. And yeah, what I also wanted to say is assess your situation. Assess your situation. I've had a lot of problems because my spouse, my wife, does not like project cars very much. So that becomes a instant problem, if you know what I mean. So that becomes an instant problem that your wife, family, spouse, da significant other, or whatever. Because first of all, and now you got these cars parked, or you got this car parked in the house, and it's taking all the money. You're making a choice between a nice vacation or a radiator or something, you know. And the car becomes your mistress. It becomes the other woman. It takes so much money, believe me. It takes so much money because you underestimate and you get in too deep. And then when you're in too deep, it's a problem now because now the car it's taken so much and basically broken you. And now you have to sell it at a loss, at a fraction of what you spent on it. And that's a problem. A lot of these cars, to tell you the truth, I think I've only made profit I've made was from a car I never worked on, right? A car I never touched. I bought it somewhere. Somebody offered me more than I paid for, and I did it. Everything else I touched, I've made a loss. I've always made losses on cars. I've always had to sell them. Now, with this current market, as you've seen in my channel, some things I've said I'm even getting rid of, but I'm probably going to lose 50% of the value selling these cars. That's the thing with project cars. So, yeah, these are my thoughts on when you're running a project car. And yeah, tell me what you think. I could be wrong, but from my experiences, this is what's happened to me, and maybe you can explain what's happened to you. But otherwise, hey, keep having fun and enjoy what you have, right? So, thank you so much for listening. Thank you very much for listening, and I'd really be interested to hear your stories. So, comment down below. And thank you. Until the next time, have a wonderful day. Bye.